Hi my lovely Frosty fam, it's me Karen Frost here at Nail Decadence, and in this video we are doing the second episode of celebrity inspired nail designs, and for this one I have chosen the beautiful Patricia Bright. Now if you don't know who she is, she's a YouTuber. She's a very successful YouTuber. She's you know, a strong black independent woman, and I admire her. She seems like such a genuinely kind and nice person, and she shares a lot about how to invest your money. You know, she's just very sensible, and she does fun things too. She does fashion and makeup and fun things and blogs and whatnot, but yeah, she's just I really like her, let's put it that way. I really like her. And celebrity, she is a celebrity in my eyes, so yeah, that's who I've chosen for this episode. Let's get into what I will be doing in this video. So obviously at the beginning I was showing you the products I will be using to create this design, and you'll see from this thumbnail the picture that inspired this set. She looks gorgeous. I will throw it up in the video a bit later on for you to have another look, but yeah, it's just that orange and yellow and green, and she looks stunning. Anyway, so on with what I'm doing, which is what I'm supposed to be explaining to you right now. Before I started recording, I prepped the nails, I applied the tips, blended them in and shaped them, and also applied a very thin clear layer of acrylic, because I always do that. And even though I won't be filing back this set, you know, it's force of habit, and I like to just keep my habits up, as it were, so when I do work on a real person or myself, I don't forget to do something. So for me it's routine. I like my routine, so I keep it up even though it's not a real person. Anywho, I'm using this very translucent glittery pink that I mixed myself with clear acrylic, just so that you could see it a little bit better on camera. It's a little bit easier to see than just clear acrylic. So that's what I'm using to build the nails. So let's talk about application. You can see I will turn the nails to the side to just make sure the apex is there. You don't need a huge apex, because these aren't very long nails, and even if they were very long, you still don't need a huge apex, not necessary. But anywho, so I've picked up a rather large bead so that I can cover this entire nail in one hit. As you can see, I'll just tap around the cuticle area, get that nice and neat, and just as I'm bringing that rest of the bead down, you'll see that the nails are pointing downwards to allow gravity to help that, you know, travel down towards the nail tip rather than back into the cuticle. So we don't want to be flooding that area. And as you saw, I would take a look at the nails from the side and see what my apex is looking like, and if there isn't enough there, I will add a little bit more, because like I said, you want a nice apex, and you want the nails to be strong. The tip seemed a little bit thin, so I just added another bead there, and I will blend that into the rest of the acrylic. And I'm brushing the sides and brushing the tip and sort of tapping away, just trying to keep it as neat as possible to reduce the amount of filing, and that's all that is, because I don't like filing, it hurts my hands. So the neater I can get my acrylic application, the better, because that means less filing, and I don't think anyone likes filing, to be honest. So yeah, onto the little finger. So it's a smaller bead, but it's still a fairly large bead, but a smaller one because it's a smaller nail. And again, tuck that in, get that a nice neat cuticle area before bringing the rest of the bead down the nail. This did not reach right the way to the end, so this obviously needs another bead. And then once I've applied that bead, I'll look at it from the side and make sure that the nail has the correct thickness that I need. And always swiping those sides and brushing and smoothing, keeping that application as neat as possible. There we go, I'm looking from all angles, checking that now, making sure it's got enough strength, and if it doesn't, as you see, I add a little bit more. I've said in other videos, I don't count my beads, I apply as many as it needs, and that's that. Everyone's got their own sort of style of application. There are people that do it in 1 bead entirely, and there's people that do it in 2 beads and 3 beads and 4 beads and 10 beads, you know, it doesn't matter, as long as you get it done, it's not a problem. So just showing you a side view there so you can see what the structure of the nail looks like from the side, so you can see the kind of apex they have on them, and bearing in mind that they are going to be filed, so that apex is going to, you know, go down just a little bit. So yeah, you have to make sure that you have enough to file into, but not too much so that you're filing forever, if that makes sense. So I've included a bit of filing for you to, because I know I've got my little filing freaks who like the filing. So yeah, I've included a bit of the filing, because filing is something a lot of people struggle with. They really struggle with getting their shapes right. So I'm showing you, you can do all of the filing by hand. You don't need an e-file. And even with my hands that hurt an awful lot, I'm showing you it is possible to do it all just with the hand file. So pay attention to how I'm angling the file and the routine. So you'll see each nail I'll start off the same way. I'll do one side, then I'll do the other side, then I'll do the free edge, and then I'll work on the body of the nail. Again, one side, then the other side, and then I will work around the cuticle area and then down the middle of the nail. So if you've got a routine, all your nails will come out the same, because you're filing them all the same way. But also stop and look and make sure that you're not filing too much away, because you know you want your structure to be there. So don't go crazy on your apex area, because you don't want to file it all away after you've just built it up, but you do want it to be rounded. It's all about contouring the nail and making sure that it's even all the way round. And as you saw, I stopped and looked at the finger that I did first, compared it to the finger that I was doing, to make sure that they are even with each other. Because you'll notice if you filed one too much, you'll notice that it doesn't look like the one that you did before. You will notice that. So you want all of the tips of the nails to be a similar width, and when you look from the free edge down the barrel of the nail, you want to make sure it's got a lovely curved contour. You don't want straight bits at the side or flat bits on the top. It's got to have a nice semicircle curve going right the way from one side of the nail to the other side, if that makes sense. It's all about contouring, really is. So I'll make sure that that cuticle area is nice and neat, and I've got that contour of the sides. We don't want those flat bits on the sides, they don't look good. So yeah, make sure that that's all done. And like I say, you look at the nail from all angles, and if it doesn't look right, you file a little bit more. You don't want any flat spots, not nice. So here we go, side wall, free edge, square that off, so we've got a nice squared off, what's the word, corners, there you go. Corners on the end, on the free edge, up one side, then up at the other side, around the cuticle area as well, round and round, make sure that's nice and blended in. Sorry about the camera blurring there. And then once I've done that bit, then I'll go down the body of the nail, which is the middle center area, and blend that in. And you see, I move the nail, I look at it, I'm also moving my file round and round, sort of over on one side and up and over down the other side kind of thing. That way I don't get any flat spots. And like I said, you don't need an e-file. If you apply your acrylic correctly and neatly, you don't need an e-file. I use an e-file to save my hands a lot of the time, but I wanted to show in this video that it's certainly possible to do it without an e-file if you've got your application down pat. So application is definitely key. So I'm going to give these a little bit of a buff because I'm going to be doing matte nails. I wanted to make sure that there were no demarcations in the surface of the nail. Oh, and I didn't mention the grit of the file I was using. First of all, anything between a 180 and 150 is a good grit for refining. If you've got a lot that needs refining and tapering in, then you know, go to 100 or even an 80, but I didn't have that much to do, therefore I didn't need such a harsh grit, so I went in with the 180 and that was perfectly enough for these nails. And as you can see, I'm still checking, still looking at all the nails together to make sure that they all look similar and adjusting anything that needed to adjust. So yeah, there we go. Dust off, and now I'm using a lint-free wipe with some rubbing alcohol to remove all the dust from the nails and from underneath them too. And here is the picture. So this is the outfit that inspired this nail design. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Wow, look how stunning she looks. And so yeah, that's the design of the nails that I'm trying to replicate on the nails, I should say. On closer inspection of the dress, there are some patterns actually over the top of the colours, and that's why you'll see me doing a little bit of stamping after I've applied all these colours. So yes, I'm using gel polish for these colours. I've said colours about 100 times now, haven't I? So I'm flash curing in between. So I started with the orange, and I'm just sort of roughly mimicking the dress, and it's kind of sort of similar to how you would do a camo pattern. Actually, it's very similar to how you'd do a camo pattern. I did have to mix a few gel polishes together to get the right sort of green and yellow that was needed for that dress, because I didn't actually have those colours. But yeah, I in the beginning of the video I showed you what colours I was using. So yeah, they're not necessarily straight out of the bottle. I did have to mix a few to get certain greens and yellows that I wanted to use. So I'm just using a nail art brush. I don't remember what brush this is, what it's called or anything like that. It's one of those, it's just the nail art brushes, but they're used for that, oh, what's it called, Acrylic, I think that's what it's called, nail art. Anyway, it's quite a fat brush when you're talking about nail art. It's a thicker, it's not a lot like a striper or a liner brush, but yeah. So I'm just using that, and I'm randomly placing blobby lines all over the nail, and I will flash cure each colour because I don't want them to run into each other. So just a flash cure to make sure that when I'm putting the next colour on that they don't sort of run into each other. I do want a separation of colours. It's not meant to be a marble. So yeah. And as you can see, I'm just applying this yellow, and I'm just putting that into the gaps now. So wiggling my brush and sort of blobbing them on, because I don't want straight lines or anything like that, because that's not the way her dress is, the pattern on her dress goes. It's not uniform in the way the colours are distributed. So I wanted this to be as close to the dress as my artistic skills can manage, which I'm not the best artist in the world. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that already, and I have terribly shaky hands, but I do my best, and that's all I can do. So I really hope that I did her dress justice, and yeah, if she ever sees this video, I hope she likes the set of nails, how they came out. That would be so cool. I think I'd die if she ever saw the video. But yeah, anyway. So I'm just going to carry on with the yellow. And once I have filled in all those areas that are left over, I will cure again, of course, because we don't want to smudge any of the work that we have put in. It started to run a bit there into the cuticle area, so I've just sort of cleaned the brush off and getting in with my clean up brush as well, just to make sure I get it all off the silicone, which, well, would be skin if it was a real person, but yeah, we don't want that on skin. It's no good. It will cause lifting, and also we just generally don't want products on the skin because it can cause irritations that can lead to contact dermatitis, and we definitely don't want that because that would mean we wouldn't be able to have nails done anymore. So I'm just making sure all of the layers are enough, if that makes sense. There were some layers that were a little bit thin and patchy, so yeah, I was just filling in those bits so that it was nice solid colours. So on to the index finger, and I'm just doing this a solid orange. This colour is beautiful. It's actually got a shimmer to it. I don't know if that's going to pick up on camera if you're seeing it, but yeah, it's got a beautiful shimmer to it. And I'm doing the same on the little finger. And as per usual with gel polishes, we want to keep those layers as thin as possible so that we don't get any wrinkling, and we make sure that those layers are cured all the way through. Don't want any uncured polish. So I've cured that for 60 seconds, and now I shall put the second coat on, making sure that cuticle area is nice and neat. If you do mess up, don't worry, just get a clean up brush and get it off the skin before you cure it. That's fine. As you can see, I'm doing here. There we go, get it off. I'm capping that free edge with this second coat because I don't cap on the first coat because it tends to mess with the shape of the nails. So yeah, second coat on the little finger, same again, nice neat cuticle area. Cap the free edge and trying to keep that as nice and thin, as neat as possible. If there's any on the skin, remove it with some rubbing alcohol and a brush and you'll be fine. So I'm capping the camo style nails with the green there because I didn't cap those when I was doing the design. Cure that for 60 seconds, and now I'm going to use some matte top coat, and we are going to mattify these nails. So a nice thin layer. We don't want thick layers of polish ever, but you know, a bit of fluff, get it off. Nothing worse than getting a bit of fluff on the nails, especially when they're matte, because you notice every lump and bump when they're matte, for sure. So a nice good coating, but not too thick. This is probably one of my quicker videos. Normally my videos are so epically long. This set, because it's a shorter nails, it doesn't take as long as longer ones, so yeah, it is quicker to do shorter nails for sure. But just a nice coating on that little finger. And you'll notice that whenever I go in with the brush, I don't go straight to the cuticle area. I deposit some of the gel polish in the middle of the nail first, and then I go in to bounce the cuticle area because we just don't want loads on there. And as you can see, I'm just swiping with the brush, which doesn't have much product on it, just to make sure I'm removing any excess that has pooled at the end of the nails, because that can happen as you're going along. It can pool at the tip of the nails and it really disrupts the shape. So yeah, if you just, rather than use your fingers, if you just use the brush with very little product, it does the same job as using your fingers on the sides, which I wouldn't recommend anyway, without gloves for sure. And as you can see, my stamping didn't want to play ball. I was taking too long and it was drying on the stamper. By the time I got it onto the nail, it just didn't want to transfer, so I thought I'd include that, because you know what, it doesn't go to plan. Sometimes it doesn't, and as you can see, I messed up with that one, so I'm like, got to go in again. It doesn't always work on the first try, and I wanted to include that so you guys can see I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect, but you know, these things happen and you've just Yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. These things happen, you're human. And yeah, just keep going until it happens right, if you know what I mean. Until you've got it right, just keep trying. It's not a problem. So as you saw, I was trying to remove it from, because it kind of attaches along the sides. And oh look, I'm just comparing it to the dress. Can you see the pattern of her dress now? And I'm like, does that really work? Is this, I was like, shall I leave the stamping on or not? Does it really work or not? And I was really umming and ahhing, but in the end I decided, yeah, it works. It's not perfect, but it kind of works. Anyway, so as I was saying, you'll see that as it goes onto the nail, it kind of attaches to the skin, but if you don't break that seal, it's harder to top coat. So you'll see that I will break that where it's around the edges, I'll break where it meets. Oh, it's so hard to describe in words what I mean. I know what I mean. There you can see I'm just making sure it's all pressed on. Ah, there we go. I'm sort of breaking that seal so that it's not attached to the skin. That way I can get it all to lay flat on the nail, and it's easier to top coat it that way. I'm not worried about it getting on the skin at this point, because I know once I've top coated, which I'm doing now, I'll be able to use some acetone and get it off the skin, and it's only on the skin for a minute. I mean, technically you should really use like a liquid latex or something to protect the skin from the product, but as it's my hand dolly, I know she can handle it. If it was a client, yeah, you probably want to not put a load of stamping polish on their skin. It's not the best thing in the world to do, definitely. But yeah, I have mistreated my dolly. Sorry, dolly. There we go. Just a bit of acetone and a lint-free wipe, and just make sure I get all of that off the skin. I don't want it looking all untidy. Because of the sliding tips, it can be a little bit awkward to get into those areas, but use a brush if you can't get in there with your wipe. I've just got a little bit stuck under the nail there, just get that off. There we go. Again, I'm just making sure I've got all of that off the skin, looking at the nails as a whole, how the set works, and am I happy with it. And I was like, yeah, I quite like this, I think I'm alright. So anyway, here's some footage of the finished design and the beautiful Patricia Bright. I hope you have enjoyed this video. You know what to do: subscribe, like, comment, share, all of that good stuff, and thank you for joining me. And that's all I've got for today, so thanks a lot. Take care now, peeps, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.